watching the NCAA Men's Soccer Championships on ESPN. It's the Elite Eight in Dallas. Last night, the rain coming down, the pitch unplayable. So they had to move last night's game to today, and it looks really nice here on the campus of SMU in Dallas. SMU taking on Marshall in the Elite Eight. And welcome inside Washburn Soccer and Track Stadium with Steve Lansdale. I'm John Little. Great to have you with us as well. These teams had to get up for last night's game and then had to rest, and then they had to do the same thing again today. How do you think that factors in?
You hope that it doesn't, really. Coaches talk all the time about getting up for games and starting fast and urgency. The reward for today's game is a trip to College Cup. I don't think there's going to be any player on either team who's not ready to go today.
So, of course, we've got great players to watch as well, including Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos. He's got braces in back-to-back games.
He is a fantastic player. 14 goals this year for the Thundering Herd, and there's no player on either team that knows his opponent better than he does. He played at Memphis before transferring to Marshall. He has played the Mustangs. He has played on this field. That either helps him because he knows the Mustangs and their defensive tendencies, or maybe it helps SMU because they know him and his tendencies. That'll be one of the games within the game that determine the outcome.
He's on the Mac Herman Trophy watch list. So is Bailey Sparks, two of the best players in the country.
Yeah, Bailey Sparks leads the team in goals and assists. He's one of the best penalty kick shooters in the country, but he does more than that. He controls possession so well in that middle third as the Mustangs navigate into transition. He's one of the best midfielders in the country.
And he's been waiting for a chance to make it to College Cup, to have a chance at a national title. He tries to lead his team today. But will it be Marshall? Will it be SMU to join the three already punching their ticket to carry? We will find out in the Elite Eight, the quarterfinals, coming up next.
At Harbor Freight, we design and test our own tools and sell them directly to you. No middleman, just quality tools you can trust at prices you'll love. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Your shipping manager left to find themselves, leaving you lost. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Indeed Instant Match instantly delivers quality candidates matching your job description.
Own a design studio. Win a really big design contract. Realize you're more of a creative type than a finance type. Realize you got this. Use QuickBooks to get your cash flow flowing. Get live expert assistance to maximize your tax savings.
I can help with that.
Get back to doing what you love. Manage and grow your business all in one place. Intuit QuickBooks, your way to money.
Why do dermatologists worldwide recommend La Roche-Posay? Effective skincare like La Roche-Posay Double Repair Face Moisturizer delivers double action to help repair skin's barrier and provide 48-hour hydration for healthy-looking skin. La Roche-Posay.
Jersey Mike's freshly slices it right in front of you, the authentic Jersey way. You can't fake that. And look, you can fake a lot of stuff these days. You can fake my outfit, but you can't fake freshly sliced turkey. You can fake these haunches, but you can't fake freshly sizzled bacon. Nay, you just can't fake a freshly sliced Jersey sub. It's nice to be back in my real body. Number 13, please. Made the authentic Jersey way since 1956. It's a Jersey Mike's thing, a sub above.
The 2024 NCAA FCS Championship. Stream every game on ESPN+.
It's time to get in the game and sign up to ESPN+.
That's why we do it, Marcy.
Gathering the most in-depth info, creating a better way for people
to find the perfect home to build their lives.
Are you okay?
No, it's the dust-based allergy.
Ding dong.
Homes.com. We've done your homework.
Hey, college basketball fans.
Your favorite teams and conferences
are on ESPN+.
You get a stellar slate of in-conference games,
including the Big 12, Atlantic 10, and many more.
Sign up now and catch your favorite teams.
Marshall starts this alignment of 4-4-2 with Yannick, who has been excellent in goal this season, second in the nation in goals against average at .61. The defense has obviously been great in front of him, especially Bamford. Okiyoshi gets it started, and then Rodriguez Dos Santos normally finishes. And Taneda and Panholzer on the outsides. They are incredibly speedy for number 13 Marshall and head coach Chris Grassi. Meanwhile, for the SMU Mustangs, their starting alignment of 5-4-1. A significant change for Kevin Hudson's team. Cesar Rubalcaba got hurt late on a red card against Dayton with 18 seconds to play, so he's out at center back. Brock Pope is back in. He missed the last game with a head injury. Around him, Bynum and Zarnik. The outstanding outside backs are Djordjevic and Chambron Pino. We talked about Sparks. Enzo Pinozzo up front. A lot of fun to watch as the striker, but really, he's just out there to run around and make things really, really pesky on the defense of the Thundering Herd here today. John Little alongside Steve Lansdale and our entire crew. Let's talk about SMU and the quandary they've got coming into this one. Kevin Hudson knew where he was going when he knew that Cesar Rubalcaba was out. He had to go with Brock Pope at that center back position. What are you watching for to see if that works out for SMU?
I think more than anything, it may be the communication. Look, Brock Pope is a terrific defender, and he has filled in the middle before when Rubalcaba missed a few games early in the season. So he's comfortable in that position, and he's a very technically sound defender. He's a big, tall guy who can get up in the air. He's pretty strong in the air. But obviously, when you're that last line of defense in front of Martin Dominguez and the SMU goal, communication is absolutely critical. He and the other defenders, they know each other inside out. They all know what they're trying to do. But he is sort of the point guard now in the back end, that the role that Rubalcaba usually fills. And so his role will be as much about communicating with Lamar Bynum on the left and Owen Zarnik on the right as it is about just the defending itself.
So for the SMU Mustangs, it is the 7th time that Brock Pope has started at center back this season. SMU is 9-1-4 at home this year and has a 10-match home unbeaten streak. This is already the 14th time SMU has been in the Elite Eight, but they have only picked up 2 advancements on the College Cup. That was back in 2000 in a win at Stanford, and in 2005, a win at UNC. They have never advanced to College Cup out of a home game here in Dallas. As you look at Martin Dominguez, who has stepped in as the starting keeper for SMU and is making his 16th start in a row. He's done a fantastic job. 125 goals against average. Meanwhile, for the Marshall Thundering Herd, there's Lineker Rodriguez Dos Santos, the guy they'll be watching. Marshall is the only previous champion left in the field. All 3 of the teams that made it through to College Cup yesterday, Vermont, Denver, Ohio State, they've never been champions. Marshall was in the pandemic season, the spring of 2021. They're trying to make it back this year.
Right, and Marshall's pedigree as a former champion and SMU's pedigree as a team that seemingly is in the Elite Eight every other year or more. We talked in the pregame about, can you get up for the game 2 days in a row? I think part of that is embracing the moment. And the pedigree of these 2 teams, I think, really erases that. Neither team is uncomfortable out here. Both teams expect to be playing today, and both teams expect to go forward after today.
Marshall is a team that has outscored their opponents this season 41-16. Now, they will play out of the back. They're very comfortable with doing so, and they play through their keeper, Alexa Janic. But SMU stepping up, they're probably going to bring their pressure a little bit higher than they normally would. Why are they doing that today?
Well, I mean, anytime you press high, you're trying to force the opposing defense into mistakes. And this is the kind of game where a guy like Enzo Pinozzo can really show up. He is a big, strong guy, first of all. He's a former high school football player at IMG Academy. And he can run for days. And not only can he run, but with his size and strength, he can lean on these defenders. Look, Marshall has some big, strong defenders. And it's one thing to be defending against a small, quick guy, but when you've got someone the size of Pinozzo banging into you for 90 minutes, he may be able to shake some things up in the back end of Marshall's defense.
Well, that time it was Jalen Mitchell on the press, able to take the ball away, and he is fouled. And this is something that Chris Grassi, the head coach Marshall talked about, they wanted to stay away from the free kick opportunities in this one because they know Bailey Sparks and also Kieran Chamorro-Pino are so dangerous.
Right, and if you scout SMU, if you're getting ready to lead your team in against the Mustangs, number 10 and number 7 are two of the first guys that jump off the screen at you. They are elite players in a lot of ways, not the least of which is free kicks. These guys can thread it through a keyhole.
Nice job by Janic to drift back and grab it from Sparks and start the advancement up the field for Marshall. They are a heavy possession team, especially bringing the ball up the right side. But early on in this match, they've adjusted things and tried to bring it up the left side of the field, maybe flickering with what SMU maybe thought they were going to see coming into this match. We'll see how it plays on. But Marshall coming off of a 2-1 win over a conference rival of SMU's in NC State. SMU is coming off a win last week at number 5, Drake 3-1, or excuse me, Dayton 3-1, I should say. And that Dayton victory included an early goal for Dayton in the first minute, and then SMU took off from there. They also beat a good Washington team 2-1 at home on the 24th of November to make it on to the round of 16.
Every now and then you get into this tournament and you find a team that gets to the Elite Eight or even beyond, and you look at their draw and think, yeah, well, they had kind of a, not an easy run, but a little bit smoother run. Both Marshall and SMU have played some really, really strong teams. All year, Kevin Hudson has been talking about the fact that now that the Mustangs are in the Atlantic Coast Conference, they go through a gauntlet of heavyweight opponents during the regular season, the benefit of which is the postseason. It prepares you to face the best in the country, and both of these teams are used to facing the best.
Another foul in the midfield coming on Marshall. And once again, it's going to go against Tiago Apolinario, the left center back, as he once more makes contact on Jalen Mitchell. SMU taking over possession. Mustangs have been good so far in the midfield. Good job there to take the ball away, however, stepping to it by Taka Fujita. And Marshall is fine with playing negative. They are just fine with going backward to come forward. And then they can get forward really, really quickly in just a couple passes. That one is skied way over the top. And out of play by Alexander Sterngard. Had a nice crowd on hand, and they continue to file in after last night's match was delayed to today because of the wind and the rain. Pitch was underwater in many areas and unplayable. Ohio State took down Wake Forest in one Elite Eight matchup, 3-0. Ohio State awaits the winner of this match. The other two teams that have made College Cup are Denver and Vermont. Denver over UMass easily 3-0, and Vermont getting some fortunate things to go their way in a victory over number 2 Pitt. Marshall will have a chance to throw in on the SMU side for the first time.
This game is both similar in style and different. It's similar in the sense that you mentioned a moment ago, the Thundering Herd is perfectly comfortable playing negative, going back in order to keep possession and then come forward. Both of these coaches prioritize possession above almost anything else. So who gets more of the ball will be very intriguing to watch as we go through the next 90 minutes. But
well, now the ball's in the box. Good sliding play made by Estorcia, and SMU's Bynum is able to get it out at least for now. But Pino has it taken away by Marco Silva, and Silva trying to distribute out. Marshall looking to attack out of possession here. They had one in the box for the first time, and Pinozo blocks this one down. However, Fujita's the one to win the race. Pinozo and Fujita come together, and a stoppage will be made. Pinozo will get an early yellow for SMU.
Yeah, it's a silly yellow card by Pinozo. I know that he and Fujita, look, those are two of the biggest, strongest guys on the field. And we talk about Pinozo as a former football player and how he can wreak a little havoc by pinballing off of people. But Marshall's got a bunch of big, strong guys too. And it's a very mature team as well. You look at just the age of some of these guys, 24, 25, 24, 23 years old. These are full-grown men. And you can't be picking up yellows by pushing someone 70, 80 yards away from your own goal. It's just silly card by Pinozo that he'd like to have back.
It's his 4th yellow of the season. Once you get to the postseason, it would take getting to an 8th yellow to have to sit out a game. The SMU player that is close to that mark right now is Denny Escorcia. He's at 7 as Georgievich gets sandwiched and fouled down. And Tarek Panholzer egregiously says it couldn't have been on me. Of course, the former co-player of the year in SoCon, why he played for ETSU for 4 years out of Flensburg, Germany. SMU quickly is able to advance it, but Pino with an awkward touch and loses it over the end line.
That's one thing that you don't see very often from Chambron Pino. He's such a technically elite player. Clearly, you know, he was trying to settle that ball and figure out how many different moves he was going to pull out to try to corkscrew that defender into the ground. And the one thing he forgot was to fully settle the ball.
No big chances for either team as of yet, but Mitchell takes one over, and another foul coming against Marshall. And this time in a great spot as Theo Godard, the junior out of France, picks up this foul.
And this is exactly the kind of play that Chris Grassi and the Marshall coaches wanted to avoid, because the Mustangs have 2 elite ball strikers in Bailey Sparks and Kieran Chambron Pino, one left-footed, one right-footed. If you're the Marshall defense, you're looking at 2 guys who can certainly get the ball on goal from this far out if they choose to. And if not, they're really, really good passers. SMU has a lot of options out of this formation.
Chambron Pino with the left foot. Bailey Sparks with the right foot. Pino, wearing number 7, has been involved in 8 set-piece goals of some kind this year. Who's going to take it? It's Chambron Pino. He's trying to tuck it in, and it ricochets well over goal. He actually has 4 goals off set pieces this season, and another 4 assists off set pieces as well. Pino looking for an early highlight.
He's got a cannon in that left leg of his, and obviously he got a little bit under that one and sailed it over the bar. But 30, 35 yards, well within range for Chambron Pino.
9 minutes in, no score between Marshall and SMU. The winner faces number 1 Ohio State in College Cup in the semifinals coming up on Friday. Long ball up the field. Owen Zarnick fighting for it, but it is taken over by Marshall, and Teneda looks to distribute. Thundering Herd overloading that left side with Panholzer as well. Now they'll spread out and look a little bit more even as they come up the left side of the field. They haven't seen or heard much from Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos yet, as SMU nearly takes one away. And Marshall is able to play it out. Teneda, the freshman, looks to slip it. And a foul coming on Georgievich for SMU. No, instead, offside. Has tried to tuck it in to Panholzer, playing Teneda and Panholzer together down that left side. And Panholzer was out in front by about a foot.
And it's interesting to watch the Thundering Herd trying to get up and down that left flank, because more than any team maybe in the country, they are a very right-footed team. They lean heavily on the right side, and then they often leave just a single defender, Theo Godard, sort of isolated on the left side. So you hear coaches talk about wanting to swing the ball back and forth from one side of the field to the other. If you're Marshall, you're more than happy going up the right side an awful lot. So if they're going to spend any time over on the left flank, that presents a look that may catch the Mustangs slightly off guard.
This game is all about tactics and all about measuring what you are going to do against a particular team's shape in order to take advantage. And Marshall, at least initially in this match, has been about 3-1 on the left side of the field. Vegeta with the throw in for the Thundering Herd. On the season, 13-1-7. Their only loss came very early this season, as that one came off the shoulder of Salvo. And Marshall has not dropped a game ever since. That was in late August to Xavier, a 2-0 margin. SMU giving it away Pino stepping back into the play, and he's called for the foul. He can't believe it. And he stepped into Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos, and maybe more than anything, Shimron Pino frustrated he gave it away.
Yeah, clearly frustrated, and then he felt that he got his left shoulder in on a clean shoulder charge, but that's got to be parallel side by side, and the official determined that he got Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos just a little bit behind that even line, drawing this whistle. And now Marshall with a free kick from a dangerous spot.
Angled out to the right, off to the left of Dominguez. And it's served in, headed away by Zarnik off the nice feed by Taimu Okiyoshi. However, it's backed up by the Thundering Herd, and Panholzer has it jarred away by Niko Djordjevic, and Djordjevic comes up the field, and he is taken down. Perhaps a card is on the way here. Yes, the yellow is out for Lorenzo Hernandez, who has been extremely busy early, and he issues one to Panholzer.
Niko Djordjevic is one of those guys who I think is a little bit tricky to scout, because when you look at him, he doesn't look like he's going that fast. And then he blows by people, and therefore you see him hit the jets here, and he not only has a step on Hernandez, but then cuts in front of him. So the only way to stop him at that point is to take him down from behind. He doesn't look like he's moving that fast, but he runs past defenders regularly, and he's so good on the ball that if he doesn't get into the offensive third and get shots or get chances for his teammates, he draws whistles, and sometimes he draws yellow cards on opponents.
So Panholzer is on yellow. It's his 5th yellow of the season. SMU also has a player on yellow, and Enzo Pinoza. Long run for Djordjevic, and he acknowledges the great feed up the field. A little too strong, and SMU will come to press near the corner as Marshall throws in. Bailey Sparks trying to get in there. Reversing it across the field. It ends up with Fujita on a feed from Okiyoshi. And near side for Marco Silva. But SMU still throwing the pressure on, looking for a giveaway. But this is a Marshall counter, and they may be able to break out because of SMU's pressure. Taneda on the left side. Goes well out wide. Now Panholzer trying to drive it in, and it's blocked away by Djordjevic for a Marshall throw-in.
And that, of course, is the risk you take when you press high. What it does is it leaves space open behind you, and if the opponent can thread through that space, thread passes through the pressure at the top, then they find their midfielders in the middle third with a lot of room to run, and that's exactly what happened for the Thundering Herd on that sequence.
Marshall not able to get a shot out of it. However, they do get possession, and they're an excellent possession team. SMU also is a team that likes to have a fistful of the ball, but SMU head coach Kevin Hudson said coming into this match, he acknowledged how good Marshall is in that respect, and although he knows that his guys prefer to have the ball, he didn't feel like it would be necessarily a problem as Rodriguez dos Santos is able to nip it away, at least for a moment, from Pope, who shields him off from reaching it on the end line. A goal kick for SMU.
Nice job by Pope. A bit of a giveaway here to Rodriguez dos Santos. And then, you know, your first reaction is to panic. Oh, no, I just gave away the ball in my own end. But Pope kept his composure, realized that that touch line was coming up awfully quickly, and just used his body to get the goal kick back for SMU.
Brock Pope making the start at center back for SMU. Cesar Rubalcaba is out in this game. That also keeps Lamar Bynum on the field at the left back spot.
On that right side, just right.
Djordjevic reaches it for SMU. Tries to play it through the middle, and more contact on Marshall. And once more, this is Alexander Schoengard, who is in on the foul.
This is exactly what we were talking about a moment ago. Djordjevic doesn't always look like he's going a million miles an hour, but he has that acceleration that ends up drawing whistles and free kicks, which, you know, then gives Bailey Sparks that restart right at the bottom of the center circle.
Marshall, about 11 fouls per match. Meanwhile, for the SMU Mustangs, they force opponents into a ton of fouls and have, over the course of the season, almost 16 a match. Again, right, because they have a lot of the ball. SMU with the takeaway by Brock Pope. Good move by Mitchell to get it to Sparks. Back to Mitchell, motoring up the right side. Jalen Mitchell, the sophomore out of California, serves it across in the direction of Pinozo, and Fujita heads it out. Salvo backs it up for SMU. 16th minute. Here's Mitchell trying to make a run. Mitchell stops on it, leaves it in his feet, and a throw-in coming for SMU as Marshall comes to defend double on Jalen Mitchell.
We talked earlier about the wrestling match we may see between Fujita and Panozzo. Terrific job there by Fujita heading the ball clear while absorbing a shot from Panozzo. That is a heavyweight match in the middle of the Marshall defense.
Pino back to Djordjevic. Djordjevic down to Escorcia, tries to serve it in front, and the first corner of the evening or the afternoon is on the way for SMU as it ricochets off the freshman Teneda. SMU is excellent on corners. They have scored in 5 of their last 6 matches on corner kicks. All of those games in which they have scored on a corner kick, they have gone on to win.
This is one area where Kieran Chambron-Pino really shines. He has so many different serves in his toolbox here.
Wind blowing into him, he goes down instead for Salvo, plays it across to Bailey Sparks, a one-timer well over the top.
Bailey Sparks looked a little bit surprised at the end result because Salvo gives him a beautiful serve, just touching that short corner over to him. And Sparks was in a position where he can really rip it. He's got a very, very strong shot. But when you hit it that hard and you get under it, it almost finds the parking garage.
Sparks getting in the way. Sparks with 9 goals this season, 3 in the run of play, and then 6 on penalties. Second most penalty kick goals in the nation this season for Bailey Sparks. He is 6 for 6 in that respect. SMU making their 14th appearance all-time in the Elite Eight. They've only been able to advance to the College Cup twice, the last time 19 years ago. Marshall has been to the College Cup once, and they won it all back in the spring of 2021.
Backside, let's go.
Thundering Herd earning the 13th seed. Bynum gets in the way, rolls it out. And SMU the 12th. Obviously the reason that it is here in Dallas. As Rodriguez dos Santos loses the ball, Salvo comes out with it for SMU. Tries to play it up the field, and now he'll reverse to keep it in possession for the Mustangs.
That sequence, a really nice example of what Alex Salvo is. He's almost never on the score sheet, and Kevin Hudson never wants to take him off the field. He's so good at possession, including in heavy traffic in that middle third.
Pinozo trying to reverse the field back to Djordjevic, but it just got away from him. And the Thundering Herd able to take it away. Marshall, 4-0-5 in the Sun Belt this season, finishing second in league play and then second in the conference tournament as well. They tied at West Virginia 0-0 through 2 overtimes, and then in the penalty phase, West Virginia ended up coming out on top. Marshall has not lost since the 29th of August. It has been a while for the Thundering Herd since they have tasted defeat. Good look by Pinozo, back to Escorcia. Escorcia comes near side to Chambron-Pino, and SMU back in possession. Bailey Sparks, part of the Mac Herman Trophy watch list. And you would think he'd be a semifinalist as well coming up in December. Now Salvo attracting a couple. Pope directing traffic. An offensive-minded center back. Pope gets it back, and he's coming forward. Out to Chambron-Pino. Pino on the edge, and then Silva. Pino on the left-footed drive in front, and it is cleared away for a corner. It almost rolled all the way to Jalen Mitchell, but Apolinario there to tag it over the goal.
Really nice passing sequence to break through that Marshall defense. And you see Kieran Schombrun-Pena with a couple of crossovers, and that just froze the defender for half a second. That gives him the space to get that serve into the middle, drawing the corner kick for Bailey Sparks.
Going to turn out to be a really nice day here in Dallas. 54 degrees now as the sun has come out. Wind is blowing left to right across the field, near side to far side, as Sparks serves the line drive off the post, and it stays in play. Sparks able to reach it, and Escorcia wants to get it right back in. However, he was the first to play it. Sparks was after the entry, as it was not touched by anyone else. And because of those consecutive touches, it goes back to Marshall.
I'm like you. I froze for a second there, wondering what the call was. And then, yeah, you can't pass to yourself off the goalpost.
Although it'd be a nifty trick.
Honestly, it's surprising that you don't see that ricochet more often come back to the guy who serves that corner.
Long ball into the wind. Silva knocks it down. Silva trying to play it through to Rodriguez dos Santos. And now Dominguez left to clear it up the middle of the field. SMU thought winning second touches in this match was going to be really, really big. This combination play doesn't quite get through. Why is that the case? Why is the second ball so big?
Well, it's always big, but when you have a team like Marshall that is so comfortable, as you described a few moments ago, sort of playing negatively, reversing field in order to keep possession, any chance you get to jump on the ball in the offensive third, you have to take advantage, because against a team like Marshall, scoring opportunity, I mean, they're always limited, but they're even tougher to come by against a team like the Thundering Herd.
This one goes off of Marshall. More contact as Jalen Mitchell continues to attract attention, and SMU has the throw in. And the keeper is down for Marshall. That's the reason for the stoppage here.
Looks like he's holding his right shoulder.
We'll get a look at it here as Lorenzo Hernandez goes back to check on Alexa Janic. Janic, who has been so good this year, you know, when that ball came into the post by Bailey Sparks, I didn't see Janic hit that right post like that's so often will happen, but I would think that that might have been what happened here. Let's see.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I can't recall a collision. I don't know. This is one of those where you're looking away from the play, and you know, we were watching the ball in the middle third or the other end. We'll see. Here's the serve from Bailey Sparks on the corner kick.
See what happens here. You know,
I mean, he didn't collide with the post. Maybe, and this is just a guess, maybe he got his hand tied up in the net and that sort of wrenched his shoulder a little bit in some way. But at this point, we're just guessing.
As any keeper would be, Janic would be a big loss for Marshall in this case as they check out that right shoulder. His numbers sparkling this season, second. Goals against average right at 1. And so a capable backup just in case Janic is not able to continue in this match. But as trainer Kerry Francis looks on and SMU starts to warm up some players as well, Janic certainly intends to stay in this match.
Right, and maybe the most encouraging evidence of that is the fact that Marshall wasn't warming up another goalkeeper. So they were hopeful. We saw him getting, as we saw him going through a series of tests to check the mobility and strength of that shoulder. Unfortunately for the Thundering Herd, number 33 is staying in between the pipes.
Janic, the transfer from Wingate, Division II University in North Carolina, where he was first team All-Region in his freshman season back in 2022. Didn't play all of 2023 between the pipes for Wingate, but in transferring to Marshall, he won the job in a two-man duel over the course of the season between he and Dan Rose, and Janic out of Belgrade, Serbia, able to stay out there for the Herd with 22 minutes remaining in the first half. Great to have you with us. We are halfway home in the first half of this Elite Eight matchup. Long ball for Enzo Pinozo. Chests it down, but he's not going to be allowed to advance. It is offside for SMU.
You don't see too much objection from the Mustangs, but from our perspective, when that ball was played, it sure looked like Pinozo was dead even with one or maybe even two Marshall defenders.
Alex Bamford is the man that was closest to it in the end.
Right, and it looked to me like they were almost shoulder to shoulder. But again, neither he nor any of his teammates objected in any way, so perhaps we didn't have the perfect view of that one.
Great to have you with us in Dallas. It's turning into a nice day. Nice long run up to Panholzer. Panholzer trying to get in. Brock Pope is there. Panholzer keeps it in with Rodriguez dos Santos out in front. Panholzer on the left foot to dos Santos. He scores! Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos. As quickly as that, off the run by Panholzer, puts Marshall in front. 1-0.
Fantastic goal by Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos, but Panholzer is the one who absolutely makes this play, flying down the left sideline. And he not only keeps the ball, so he's got Owen Zarnick running step for step with him, keeps the ball in bounds, and then beats two defenders to thread it into the middle to Rodriguez dos Santos. Rodriguez dos Santos gets the goal, but to me, Panholzer is the one that makes that play. Beautiful run by Panholzer, and terrific goal by a guy the Mustangs know all too well from his days in Memphis, and now puts Marshall on the board.
Great start from Marshall. Could not have been any better as the Thundering Herd go in front. 1-0 on the goal. It's the 15th of the season for Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos. And he's already 6th in the nation in goals coming in. There's only one player in the history of Marshall football to have more goals in a season than Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos. And that continues to be the case. That was Bryson Carmichael, who had 3 seasons like it, 2 with 15 and 1 with 18. And yeah, talk about a career. But Rodriguez dos Santos has made a household name for himself at Marshall after starring at Memphis, and has Marshall in front with the opener. Fed up the middle, and SMU wanted a handball. None comes. SMU really seemed like they were dominating play for the most part. Marshall, though, quickly getting up the field with the speed of Panholzer.
Right, and that's one of the, if you're on the good side of it, that's one of the beauties of this game. If you're on the short side of it, that's one of the ways it can be so cruel. I mean, we saw Vermont advance to the College Cup after getting outshot 17-6, and 2 of its 2 goals on its only 2 shots on goal. It's the same thing. It's not always how many opportunities you have, it's what you do with them. And Rodriguez dos Santos certainly made the most of his. But I agree with you. It has felt like SMU has had the better run of play through the first 25 minutes.
Now Marshall is letting the ball stay stationary here. Again, a team that's very comfortable playing out of the back. SMU has been really good about pressing early in this match, and now Escorcia takes some contact to the face. He goes down and will be attended to. Did look like incidental contact as Escorcia took one to the nose or the mouth region as he was trying to press high.
Yeah, I don't think it was anything intentional, but, you know, Escorcia is usually the shortest guy on the field in SMU games. So he is unfortunately around elbow height for some defenders. And we've talked at length about how Marshall's got some big guys on that back line.
It's Okiyoshi who got him with the forearm. Okiyoshi, only 5'10", but compared to Escorcia, a big old guy.
Right, exactly.
Escorcia, that typical smile as he will most likely try to stay in this match. He is a 90-minute type guy for SMU. We've seen one yellow on both sides at this point. Not seen a card come out due to that play. Meanwhile, we had a play on about 30 seconds earlier.
Well, Lorenzo Hernandez had the yellow card in his hand. I don't know if he showed it to a player or not.
Well, we will get some confirmation from the field on that and the assistant referee. As we restart here with Marshall leading off the 15th goal of the year by Rodriguez dos Santos, off the assist by Tarek Panholzer. And Marshall in front, 1-0 in Dallas. Now, one thing about SMU is even during the course of this run is it's a bad giveaway by Pope. And here comes Panholzer with Rodriguez dos Santos trying to split defenders. Georgievich steps to it and clears it away. SMU has been down as this is going to be a handball on Shemron Pina. SMU has been down 1-0 in each of their first two matches of the postseason and come back to win. So this is not a spot where SMU is necessarily unfamiliar. As you see the ball ride up on the elbow of Shemron Pino, and he helped control it with that elbow. So Danny Escorcia was shown the yellow. And if that's the case, that is his 8th. And he would be out of the College Cup semifinals on Friday, if that is the case. We'll work to reconfirm. Georgievich trying to get it out. He can't. Another dangerous one. And on the spin, it goes up over the top. And Marshall very convinced it ricocheted off an SMU player, but it's ruled out off of Apollinario for a goal kick.
Here you see the attempted clearance ends up going right into the middle. And fortunately, Salvo is there to take one right in the gut and keep it out of the SMU net. But that shot was earmarked for the left post.
And Marshall starting to push forward now, seeing a little less determined SMU team than they were early on in the match. And smelling blood in the water, perhaps. Already up 1-0 as before this punt gets away. A couple of the players are going to be called forward by Lorenzo Hernandez as things get chippy early on. Pinoza wants to talk it over with Taka Fujita.
And again, this is the matchup we cited right from the start. These are two of the biggest, strongest guys on the field for each team. And they have been bumping into each other through the first 27 minutes of this game. And when those two hit, there's a little bit of a seismic ripple effect. Neither one has done anything dirty, for at least from our perspective up here. They're just strong physical players. And when you have two guys like that, the collisions can be significant. But Lorenzo Hernandez, the referee, trying to make sure it doesn't go beyond what it has.
We play with a little under 17 minutes left in the first half. And Marshall on top, thanks to the goal by Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos. His 5th of the postseason in 3 matches.
Have yourself a hot streak.
Oh, my gosh. But the whole second half of the season has been a hot streak for Rodriguez dos Santos. Just has a knack for finding the ball.
Yeah, sometimes it's not a hot streak. You're just really good.
Well, he's coming off a 14-goal season last year when he was with Memphis. One of those goals came against SMU right here on this pitch, so it's the second time he's scored against SMU in his career. That was in a losing effort, however, an 89th minute goal with SMU already up 2-0 on his Memphis Tigers that day. SMU has had some chances early on, not been able to find the back of the net. Escorcia looking to move it. Back to Salvo. As Bynum was on an overlapping run, he'll retreat back to his left back position. Here's Djordjevic, the creative player from Austin, Texas, going up the right side. Djordjevic changing speeds, now trying to take the line. A quick throw in, and it is not fully cleared. And Bailey Sparks skies one as Apollinario gave it to him as a gift, and Bailey Sparks returned it, but well over the goal.
Yeah, Bailey Sparks looks up and he sees Enzo Pinozzo and Kieran Chambron-Pino in front of the goal and by the back post, but I don't think he was serving to them. I think he was trying to catch Janic sleeping. I think that was intended for the upper left corner. And like you said, just got a little bit under it. And when you hit it as hard as he does, getting a little bit under it sends it a long, long way.
Marshall hunting another goal. They average about 2 goals a match. SMU is on a streak where they have scored in 40 consecutive matches. So normally it takes more than one to beat SMU. A giveaway here. Bailey Sparks is on it. Slides it back to Chambron-Pino. Great connection. Chambron-Pino moves inside. Back to Sparks. Chambron-Pino in the middle now. Looking to slip it. Has nothing. So feeds it out wide to Djordjevic. Djordjevic, marked by 2, has it taken over. And a good defensive play by Marshall to get it out of the very dangerous feet of number 20 in black.
Really nice job by the Thundering Herd there, defending 2v1 against Djordjevic. And not only pulling the ball free, but using the second player almost as like a little bit of a pick play there to just keep Djordjevic from getting his foot back on it right away and allowing the clearance. Yes, SMU ends up with a throw-in, but to get a throw-in 25 yards upfield rather than right by the corner flag is certainly better from Marshall's perspective.
It's Cesar Rubalcaba out thanks to the leg injury. Djordjevic gets the throw-in. It's knocked down inside the 18, but then cleared away all the way beyond midfield. Dominguez well out of goal, and Bynum drives it deep. Headed on by Pope, and on the backside, Lopez, who is in, doesn't believe that he's been called offside. He thought that should have been allowed to play on as Lopez has come in for Pinozzo at the striker spot.
Here you see the long serve by Bynum, flicked on by Pope, and when that ball was flicked, I think Lopez was still onside. I think the Mustangs have a legitimate complaint on that one.
I agree based on the replay, but obviously the replay in that moment not going to help anyone. And with 14 minutes left to play in the opening half, and Marshall out in front. Great to have you with us in Dallas. John Little, Steve Lansdale, and our whole ESPN Plus crew. Winner of this matchup gets Ohio State in the semifinals. Great takeover by Escorcia. Escorcia with his right foot out to Mitchell. Knocks it down, top of the box, and has it played away by Apollinario. And Rodriguez dos Santos with a full spin in the middle of the field and taken down for a foul.
And Danny Escorcia a little upset with that whistle, but he's got to be very, very careful. He's already carrying 1 yellow card. He not only can't deliver too hard a foul, but he also can't say anything to the officials at this point.
Brock Pope, Rodriguez dos Santos, and Brock Pope knows how dangerous 7 in white is. Plays it out for a throw-in and quickly comes into Marshall. They want to play it into possession rather than just throw it into the box. Good idea by Fujita, but he has it taken away. And Escorcia takes down Okiyoshi. And again, a moment where Milton Lopez, knowing his midfielder might be in trouble, steps in between.
That's a good point. That was a very savvy veteran play by Milton Lopez. He's a guy who comes in off the bench, but he's fully aware. I mean, you know the coaches go over this, who's got how many yellow cards and who's where. They all have to be cognizant of that kind of thing. Very professional play by Lopez to step in there, and if there was going to be a debate or an argument, he was going to have it rather than letting Escorcia get into it.
And Escorcia, who is a fiery player, kind of a gnat and a mule all at once, says head coach Kevin Hudson. Has been in the middle of some consternation early between these two teams. And if you're just joining us again, Escorcia picked up a yellow in which he got a hand to the face by Okiyoshi, went down on the play, but also picked up a yellow card on that play, and in doing so, his 8th yellow of the season. And he's already missed one game back in the regular season for yellows, and he would miss the national semifinal because of this one.
You don't often see someone take a shot in the mouth or somewhere in the face and end up with a yellow while lying on his back. So he must have said something, I'm guessing, because he certainly was on the receiving end of the contact.
Nice play to shift it away from Lamar Bynum here. And that gets Alexander Sterngard fired up. The great midfielder for Marshall has great position flexibility and a good distributor. As SMU makes a substitution, Stefan Sagamonian, who was a hero, had a late first half goal against Washington to tie it up at 1. Get things level heading into the half here in Dallas. His 2nd goal of the season. Freshman from Santa Clarita, California, comes in for Jalen Mitchell as Kevin Hudson talks with Lorenzo Hernandez for a moment.
And again, we can only guess from our perspective up here in the media area, but a lot of the SMU reserves were pretty up in arms over that last call out of bounds that they thought should have gone in the Mustangs' favor. You have to wonder if that conversation with Leonardo Hernandez was simply the official reminding Kevin Hudson to try to help his guys tone down the rhetoric from the bench.
Both teams are going to play spirited. You always see that happen when you're playing for your careers, you're playing for your seasons at the very least. You're playing for a chance at the College Cup. Oh, what a play by Salvo. And then a foul against Marshall.
And Escorcia is upset because after the whistle was blown, he took another shot to the chest. And I think he's right to be upset. But again, when you're carrying a yellow, you really almost don't want to initiate any conversation at all with the officials.
Long ball intended for Djordjevic. And Janic at 6'3" is easily able to scoot to it. And SMU playing a good combination today of possession and also trying to go over the top to catch Marshall unawares. The Thundering Herd goal came on a transitional moment. Here's Bailey Sparks inside to Lopez. He goes down looking for a foul. None comes. Attacking the ball, and Teneda comes out with it for Marshall. And Djordjevic called for the foul here.
You see Lopez trying to play the ball from the ground. Marshall doing a nice job to clear it out. And then almost like a drive-by trip there by Djordjevic where he barely really made any contact. But Teneda ended up on the ground and got the whistle for the Thundering Herd.
Good idea by Lopez, trying to create some kind of set-piece opportunity, but it didn't appear there was much contact, if any, from Bamford right at the top of the 18. Sparks feeding it inside. Escorcia. He finds Djordjevic out wide. Djordjevic, line drive right into the gut of Alexei Janic.
Not a horrible idea because the Mustangs had Escorcia and Lopez crashing through the middle, and Kieran put Chambron Pino at the backside. Maybe Djordjevic trying to catch Janic looking to all those other Mustangs roaming in as targets.
Or perhaps just looking for some kind of ricochet, a hard shot that would create a rebound.
Exactly. He put an awful lot of mustard on that serve, and if Janic doesn't catch it cleanly, it very easily could deflect into a very dangerous spot, perhaps the back of the net.
Sagamonian still down after taking contact, and he's not immediately up. There have been a lot of stoppages. It's been a stop and start effort. Many fouls between these two teams.
Yeah, Lorenzo Hernandez, the official, waved over at the SMU bench to athletic trainer Becky Riegel coming in, and he was pointing up at his head, around his eyes. Not sure what happened to Sagamonian. I mean, you can guess it was an elbow or an arm that caught him inadvertently up high.
SMU with 2 shots. Neither have been on goal as of yet. A couple corners, 6 fouls officially, and offside 3 times. For Marshall, 3 shots, one of them on goal, and it was in by Rodriguez dos Santos. 1 offside flag and 5 fouls so far as Riegel attends to Stefan Sagamonian checking out the pearly whites.
He's still ready for a team photo.
That's always good to know. Marshall's just a team that has come on and gotten better and better over the course of the season, and they really had a lot of injury problems. As you see, Sagamonian able to come off under his own power, and he'll attempt to stay in the match. But it's a team that had to have some early season adjustments due to roster issues with injury, and that allowed them to develop some depth. And although they haven't gone into that depth much so far in this match, we think we will see it from Chris Grassi as we go on throughout the afternoon. And certainly that's been one of the things that has helped the Thundering Herd have such a great surge here late in the season.
Yeah, Coach Grassi has a deep pool of players that he likes to rotate in and out. He goes deeper into that bench than most coaches at high levels who like to ride on their starters and a couple of key reserves. And Coach Grassi's got a very talented roster, not just a top 11 or 12 or 13.
Eight minutes left in the first half. Marshall in a good position, leading 1-0 off the Lytica Rodriguez dos Santos goal. Brilliant creation by Tarek Panholzer on a play up the right side, keeping it in on the end line and then feeding it out in front for the striker to initiate the scoring. And Marshall getting closer to their second ever College Cup as we play here late in the first half. SMU has been to the College Cup twice, but not since 2005 as the SMU chant starts here at Washburn Soccer and Track Stadium. Danny Escorcia down and taking contact. And here comes the card. And it gets shown to Marshall's Lytica Rodriguez dos Santos. Or are they going to give it to Taka Fujita?
Well, for a minute, I thought they were giving it to Escorcia because when he was taken down, he pounds the ground a little bit and looks up at Lorenzo Hernandez.
Of course, Taka Fujita. Yeah, that's on Fujita. He's been given a couple of talking to so far by Hernandez as a takedown happens. Here's Pino out in front, driving it against the side. As there is a player down for SMU. So we look at Milton Lopez on the floor, writhing in pain. And it's on that attempt at a slide tackle.
And he is grabbing that left ankle.
And the VAR chance starts to see if this would be some kind of red card or something, but does not look like Lorenzo Hernandez is inclined to do so.
Here you see
spikes up, but ball first.
Yeah, I think you're right. And obviously, whenever there's spikes up, and nice to see a couple of the Marshall players come over and check on Lopez. One, you don't want to injure your opponent, and two, you also want to make sure that the officials don't think you want to injure your opponent. So hard tackle. Honestly, if there had been a card, I don't think you could have objected to that as well because the spikes were up. But to your point, John, I think he did touch the ball first.
Lopez has to come off for a moment, but good to see him out there and able to turn off the field after the contact in a game that has been physical, and it is getting more physical by the moment.
It's physical, but so far it hasn't been dirty. We talked earlier about how experienced this Marshall roster is. These are big, strong guys, and these are full-grown men. They play a very physical brand, but they also play a relatively clean brand. It's just going to be bumps and bruises for the next 51 minutes.
Rodriguez dos Santos is down, and for the longest time, Lorenzo Hernandez was not going to stop for him. But finally they do, and
it looked like Rodriguez dos Santos tried to stand back up and then sat back down.
Trainers have been busy. Kerry Francis out to check on the MVP of the Thundering Herd offensively, and Rodriguez dos Santos. Ian Bailey Sparks coming together, and Sparks on his kick of that ball coming through and hitting the back of the leg, kind of the Achilles area of Rodriguez dos Santos. Not saying it's an Achilles injury, but certainly something in that lower calf, upper foot region.
Rodriguez dos Santos just showed his leg to the bench, and he has what looks like quite a welt or a bruise building actually just over his knee. So maybe he took contact in several places. But just like with Milton Lopez a moment ago, the best thing in the world, if you're Marshall, is seeing Rodriguez dos Santos race back onto the field as soon as he came off.
Foul on Bailey Sparks there. He did not have the advantage against Taimu Okioshi and pulled him back. A couple yellows on SMU so far. A costly one on Danny Escorcia that we believe will cost him a possible semifinal game next week or the beginning of next year, just depending on how things play out. And also in this one, Enzo Pinozzo with a yellow. On the other side, 2 yellows as well for Marshall, as Dos Santos comes together with Milton Lopez, and SMU gets a chance at a restart with 5 minutes left in the half. Yellows so far on Panholzer and Fujita for Marshall. A quick start, trying to get it into Sagamonian. Good idea by Sparks, who did not take the full walk back on the free kick opportunity, just addressed it and popped it over the top and was trying to hit Sagamonian.
Exactly. Sagamonian's a very quick player and looked like they sort of made eye contact, and you could tell he's going to hit the Jets and trying to simply catch the Marshall defense sleeping a little bit to see if they could sneak Sagamonian behind it. And he got behind it, but Janic also read it very cleanly and got over and snatched it up before Sagamonian could get to it.
Sparks and Sagamonian comboed on a play, not from the same spot, but a lot like that early in the season that resulted in a goal against UT RGV. Ball up the field to Panholzer. This is how it all started the first time. He's got Silva joining. Panholzer turns on it, waiting, and his shot is blocked by Zarnik. Bailey Sparks on it for SMU and rolls it out to Sagamonian as SMU is not able to get out and run after stopping the Marshall advancement.
What a great play by Owen Zarnick. Not only to get back and chase on that play, but he turned away 2 shots within a matter of a couple of seconds. Earlier on, we talked about defending 2v1. Well, he was defending 1v2 and came up with 2 plays to keep the shots away from Martin Dominguez.
Good idea by Silva, but he and Djordjevic just a little bit mistimed. 3.5 remaining in the first half, and Marshall has the advantage here in Dallas. On the Rodriguez dos Santos goal. Marshall trying to make it to the College Cup for the second time. First time was the 2020 season, but played in the spring of 21, of course, because of COVID-19, where Marshall made the magical run and won the College Cup that season in Cary. The NCAA tournament that season played all within the state of North Carolina. Here's Pino trying to twist it inside for Sparks, but Sparks left it in his heels. SMU trying to keep up the pressure. And you wonder for the Mustangs, they're not a team that presses high very often. Of course, the fitness level is going to be as good as it's going to be at this point in the season, but can they do this for a full 90 minutes is the question. Sineda comes in, throws it out front, Panholzer.
I think you're right. The fitness angle of it is a non-issue. These guys on both teams could run for days. Where the chess match comes into play for Kevin Hudson and his staff is, do you really want to take off the pressure as you're chasing the game? It becomes more and more of an attractive feature to try to force the Marshall defense to make mistakes. So if anything, you may want to try to figure out a way to turn up the pressure.
And the question just becomes, do you have the legs to do it?
Right, and do you have the legs behind to maintain some transition control? If you start throwing bodies forward, again, that means there's open space somewhere behind you, and that leaves your defense prone to counterattacks.
Minute 35 left in the half. SMU staying on possession with Djordjevic walking it in, trying to accelerate. Djordjevic now attracting 2 defenders. Djordjevic trying to rip through them, and on his twist, he leaves the ball behind, but somehow gains it back. Djordjevic serves it all the way across in the direction of Pino, who heads it down, and Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos takes it out, at least for a moment, and he's able to win it away from Chambron Pino, but loses it to Bynum. Great matchup there.
Really nice double team defense there by Bynum and Chambron Pino.
Lopez turning, and no foul given. The crowd not happy about it here at SMU with 50 seconds left in the first half.
The crowd not happy, but neither was the SMU bench. And the SMU coaching staff generally is not a very animated bunch when they disagree with calls. And the fact that Kevin Hudson and a couple of assistants both had their arms up in the air, sort of in disbelief, I think underscores that one may have gotten away from the officials.
25 seconds left in the half. Deep one for Pino, trying to keep it in. Can't quite do it. Throw in for SMU, though. A quick 15 seconds left. Escorcia back to Bynum. SMU needs something going forward. The serve by Escorcia, the header back out, chased down by Sagamonian. One chance, and it doesn't get through. And at the half, the Marshall Thundering Herd have the one attack they needed. Tarek Panholzer creating a beautiful opportunity for Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos to finish on the other end. Marshall out in front 1-0 at the half in the Elite Eight.
Really terrific first half. Honestly, both teams with legitimate chances and scoring chances, solid defending, and obviously some physical play as well. Really looking forward to the second half here.
It's going to be a great one at the half. 1-0 Marshall.
Sam, since this is your first Get Holiday Ready sales event, let me introduce you to the full lineup of Ford SUVs.
Keep it festive, Morgan. That's Blake and Bailey. They're our Bronco experts.
Go Codes goes over any type of terrain.
And of course, Ford F-Series. Best-selling trucks for 47 years. The Get Holiday Ready sales event.
Now get an Escape with 2.9 for 72 plus $2,000 retail trade assist cash and no payments for up to 90 days.
So hear the drums drumming, all your friends humming. Yeah, it's a good time coming. Everything you want it, it's right here, y'all. Everything you need it, it's right here, y'all. We got the tunes bumping, got the kids jumping. Yeah, it's a good time coming.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, you know, to check your school's saying first before saying it.
High tide. High tide, guys. High tide. High tide. High tide. High tide.
It's roll tide.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
The Chiriotic Table of Elements. Everything from Get Laudium to On Your Feet for Us.
Professor, is this one a final?
This is how you get to the final. That's Fandom U. You prepared to get loud? Oh, you're ready. It's all part of the curriculum. March Madness. Attendance is encouraged. Passion is mandatory. Buy your seats today at ncaa.com/WBB tickets. Class dismissed.
Own a design studio. Win a really big design contract. Realize you're more of a creative type than a finance type. Realize you got this. Use QuickBooks to get your cash flow flowing. Get live expert assistance to maximize your tax savings.
I can help with that.
Get back to doing what you love. Manage and grow your business all in one place. Intuit QuickBooks, your way to money.
Welcome back into Dallas, beautiful west side of downtown Dallas. The SMU Mustangs trailing number 13 Marshall at the half in the NCAA Soccer Championship quarterfinals. We are halfway home in regulation. And the winner of this matchup will face the top seed, Ohio State, the Buckeyes, taking down Wake Forest. The magical run comes to an end for number 8 Wake Forest, the ACC tournament champions, a 3-0 final last night. In addition to that, some great matches yesterday. Denver, a team that played here at SMU earlier this year, took down UMass by a 3-0 final, and they will get Vermont. Vermont upsetting Pitt, and just a tough luck loss for number 2 Pitt, a team out of the ACC as well, as Vermont is not in any way going to apologize about it. They are heading to the College Cup after that victory over Vermont, and they will take on Denver on Friday. The Denver matchup against Vermont and the Ohio State against either SMU or Marshall semifinal taking place on Friday, and then they'll get the weekend off before the final to be played next Monday. And again, the only team remaining that has previously won a College Cup on the men's side, the Marshall Thundering Herd, who did so back in the spring of 2021. Just 5 teams remaining. Right now, Marshall out in front of the SMU Mustangs, 1-0 at the break here in Dallas. Martin Dominguez unable to hold out a shot by Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos. Aleska Janic hasn't faced a shot on goal as of yet. You're watching NCAA Tournament Soccer.
That's a timeout on betting. It completely changed the game, and you didn't even notice. Let me break it down for you. Betting ads are setting the blitz and getting you to play the game. Many of you are falling for it and losing big money. Addiction is happening in some more than others. Now players are getting harassed by bettors. And we all know that's not how the game is won. So it's on us to be good teammates and draw the line to stay ahead of betting consequences. Brought to you by the NCAA.
Sleigh bells ring. Are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. To sing a love song, we stroll along. Oh, maybe it's a winter wonderland.
Own a design studio. Win a really big design contract. Realize you're more of a creative type than a finance type. Realize you got this. Use QuickBooks to get your cash flow flowing. Get live expert assistance to maximize your tax savings.
I can help with that.
Get back to doing what you love. Manage and grow your business all in one place. Intuit QuickBooks, your way to money.
I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow. How do you feel? No, how do you want to feel?
A new head coach.
Make it about us. We beat the odds.
And her new assistant.
Hey, Google, find me an alternate route because you decide the outcome.
And a must-win game.
No, we decide the outcome.
And the vision and a car that always delivers.
Bring it in! I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow.
The all-new 2025 Equinox and Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Hey, get your head in the game, son. The scout from football college is up in the stands.
Maybe you'd rather go to school for insurance.
I didn't raise no insurance, man.
But you did, Dad. Football's your passion, but mine is providing around-the-clock protection to progressive customers who bundle home and auto.
Jamie, we need you out here for football. You're giving up on your dream, James.
No, Dad. I'm giving up on yours.
Oh, James, wait! Oh, that's not the exit.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too long. What the world needs now is love, sweet love.
It's NCAA Tournament Soccer on ESPN. Welcome back into Dallas. John Little with Steve Lansdale. Some chances for SMU in this one, including this great cross by Shamrock Pino.
Yeah, he drills it in the middle. He sees Jalen Mitchell coming in by the back post. Turned away nicely by the Thundering Herd defense, which surrendered this corner kick.
And Bailey Sparks touching it twice, unable to continue the play, of course. And then Marshall getting an excellent individual effort from Tarek Panholzer.
Yeah, this is beautiful. He's chased by two defenders, gets past Owen Zarnick, and then Brock Pope overruns the ball. And then as he circles back, Panholzer splits them to find Rodriguez dos Santos for the game's only goal. Nice goal, but better setup.
Panholzer, incredible efforts to keep that one in. The assist for Panholzer, his fifth of the season. Marshall leading in shots, and they've got the one shot on goal. It's been a fairly physical first half. 15 total fouls between the two. Not many corners for either side, but SMU has the advantage there. And neither team, of course, has made a save in the first half. And so a lot of this match has been played in the middle third, or those last few opportunities just have not been connected on once the ball gets into the box. It shows you some pretty good defending by the back lines.
Yeah, I think both back lines have done well. I mean, as you said, only 7 shots between the two teams. And it's not like these are two teams that don't have players who are offensively capable. But these back lines and SMU, again, doing it without Cesar Rubalcaba in the middle, but Brock Pope has done a wonderful job stepping in for him. These two back lines and the helping midfielders have done a terrific job limiting chances against their goalkeepers.
And at the half, it's the Marshall Thundering Herd out in front of SMU, 1-0 on the game's only goal by Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos. But another 45 minutes out in front of us in the second half, maybe more. Who knows? College soccer continues next as we crown the 4th team to go to the College Cup here on ESPN.
A passion, and a profession, and a large, versatile space to store both. The all-new 2025 Equinox and Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
New projects means new project managers. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/hire and get started today.
Own a design studio. Win a really big design contract. Realize you're more of a creative type than a finance type. Realize you got this. Use QuickBooks to get your cash flow flowing. Get live expert assistance to maximize your tax savings.
I can help with that.
Get back to doing what you love. Manage and grow your business all in one place. Intuit QuickBooks, your way to money.
After a long night of bringing home the bacon, there's nothing wrong with a nice, smoky nightcap. After all, it's 5 a.m. somewhere. Hormel Black Label Bacon.
I'm an overpowered leaf blower, and I'm not exactly street legal.
And if you don't have the right auto coverage, this could really blow your budget. So get Allstate, save money, and be protected from mayhem. Yeah, like me.
Being a football player with plaque psoriasis is challenging. The football locker room is always a place where people are going to see your skin and you can't hide it forever. I'm Dallas Goddard, professional tight end, and this is my story. I felt embarrassed by my plaques, and I was covering up on and off the field. For years, I've treated my plaque psoriasis with topicals, but the hardest part for me was applying them every day, applying them to spots that are hard to reach. And it's something that you just have to be so consistent with to see visible changes. So recently I talked to a new doctor about a medication, Otezla. It's a pill form and works from the inside out. Looking back at it, I probably could have told my doctor my struggles earlier.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts.
Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Flying back into Dallas. Welcome back in to the Elite Eight on ESPN Plus. The SMU Mustangs hosting an Elite Eight matchup for the first time since 2001. And Steve, you were saying this SMU program has been to the Elite Eight a lot over the years. When you go back all the way to 1985, their first time ever at this level of the postseason.
Yeah, this is a team that expects to be at this level. And I actually remember that 2001 team. That is the most talented college soccer team I've ever seen in my life. And there are a lot of guys. There are a few of them from that team here today in attendance. But yes, this is a team that not only does extraordinarily well in the regular season, but they expect to do well in the postseason. And they would love to add. They've added to that list today. They'd love to add another College Cup next week if they could.
But SMU only 2-7-4 all time in Elite Eight matchups, and in those 4 draws that went to penalties, they failed to advance via the penalty kick each and every time. SMU has not had their fair share of luck in this round of the postseason and looking to turn that around today. Bailey Sparks trying to be part of that turnaround for the SMU Mustangs as they go to the second half. So Marshall is a team that is used to possessing the ball probably for 60, 70% of the game when they're on their game. And they didn't get to do that in the first half, mainly because of the high press by SMU. Now they still have the lead at 1-0, but are there any changes you would make on the side of Marshall going to the second half?
Not really. Like you said, yes, they had to deal with SMU pressing high, but also they had to deal with the fact that SMU is a team that also likes to possess the ball. So that we knew coming in that was going to be a chess match, and one of these teams was going to be in the unfamiliar spot of not possessing the ball as much as it normally does. I think if you're Marshall, the only thing that you might change is, you emphasize again and again making the smart, careful play. Don't make that one mistake that could give SMU a chance for an equalizer. Now, obviously, they're a smart team. They're a very, very mature, experienced team, so it's not like you have to tell them this. They know that. These are smart guys. These are experienced guys who have been through the wars. They know what they're doing. But I think the whole point of emphasis at halftime is do not make the one mistake that gives SMU the chance, because SMU's talented enough. The Mustangs are going to get a chance for an equalizer anyway, but you just don't want to add to those chances.
Yeah, for the Mustangs, it's now 40 straight games with at least one goal. They have not been shut out since the postseason bow out a couple years back at the hands of South Florida that day. And so for the Mustangs, you're looking at a couple straight years now where they have not failed to, or they have where they've failed to secure a goal in a game. It's been 40 games since that has happened. So if you're a Marshall fan thinking, hey, this is another opportunity for us to put away a clean sheet, yeah, maybe so, but it doesn't happen much against the SMU Mustangs. Thundering Herd certainly want to find their opportunity again in the second half and maybe advance this lead out to 2 in order to feel like they have a little bit of breathing room against this Mustang squad that always seems to come back, especially this season. May not be the most talented squad that SMU has had, but they are one of the most teams that will just keep coming after you, and they are not going to just pack it in when their backs are up against the wall.
No, this is you're absolutely right. It's not the most talented team to roll through Dallas. They've had some awfully good ones over the years. And obviously there is considerable talent on this roster, but there have been years past when SMU's team has been absolutely loaded from front to back. This is not that team, but there is a closeness, there is a unity, there is a chemistry. I don't know how you want to describe it. And sometimes it has sort of been sort of an us against the world kind of mentality when they have fallen behind and then gotten an equalizer and sometimes a go-ahead goal. It's a very tight-knit group, and Kevin Hudson said this has been one of the most enjoyable teams that he has had the opportunity to coach.
It's a team that is not satisfied with reaching the round of 8 as Kieran Pino comes in on the left side, looks to slip it into the box. It gets knocked back. Nice heel flick by Fujita to get out of trouble, and looking for a run back the other way. Well out of the box, trying to chest it down as Dominguez, and he can't get a full clearance out. And Brock Pope runs over Panholzer through on the brakes up against the side. And that is where the free kick comes from for Marshall near the sideline.
Nice job on that play by Panholzer. First of all, pressuring Dominguez into making an awkward play when he's obviously more comfortable using his hands than using his chest and clearing it out that way. But then secondly, Panholzer probably realized this ball is going out of bounds. But he also knew that Brock Pope was coming at him like his hair's on fire behind him. So Panholzer hits the brakes, steps in front of Pope, gets run over, gets a free kick for Marshall.
Wind blowing right to left here. Tainu Okiyoshi ready to take the free kick. Will either play it on the ground or it will be an outswinger here. Plays it straight across, and Fujita not able to get a solid head on it. And it was actually knocked out by SMU. And so a throw in on the way for Marshall.
Fujita, a nice 6'2" target, but if you're Kevin Hudson, you're awfully glad to have a 6'4" Owen Zarnick in front of him to erase that chance on the backside.
Jalen Mitchell unable to clear, doubled in the corner, and a throw in for SMU with Marshall leading 1-0 on the Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos goal back in the first half. Djordjevic throw into the wind here as Wind is blowing right to left across the field, and Marshall will have the wind at least here in the second 45 minutes. Lopez trying to press high. That long ball is over everyone's head from Janic, who has a very good leg, and SMU on the throw-in. SMU no shots on goal yet. 3 shots in total. Dominguez has it knocked back at him, and Panholzer comes up with the loose ball. Panholzer back on it. Panholzer moving in, trying to get through Zarnik, and a handball against Marshall. As the Thundering Herd were joining the play, Alexander Sterngard knocked it down with a hand.
Every now and then you'll see a referee wave off a handball or let it go because the player was in the right spot and it hit him, and that's the case there. But that ball was going to be cleared and went straight down, and I mean, he could have been called for double dribble almost as much as he could have been for a handball. There was no way to ignore that one.
Wind at about 7 miles an hour. Affecting the game slightly, but not enough where SMU shouldn't be able to move into it, as a foul is issued against Thiago Apolinario, the left center back for the Thundering Herd. SMU trying for a quick restart, but Sparks not allowed to do so.
And that probably benefits SMU a little bit because his serve trying to catch Niko Djordjevic was a little bit off target, and Marshall had the inside position. Tanada was there to turn that ball away, but because of the official's whistle, Sparks and now Kieran Pino also have time to line it up and consider another approach.
And Sparks sends it in. Bynum on the ground, back to Mitchell, chips it in, looking back post. Pope, the header in the air, knocked around. Zarnik not able to get the head on it, but a great chance for SMU.
But a beautiful play design going from Sparks over to Jalen Mitchell, and then crisscrossing in front of the goal, first to Pope, and then trying to connect with the biggest target on the field in Owen Zarnik. Really beautiful play design and only missed by a couple inches.
Shamrock Pino on the ground, cleared away, back to Djordjevic. Djordjevic thought about loading up, now he does through traffic, and SMU stays on possession here with Bailey Sparks out front. Sparks popping it deep to the left. Shamrock Pino trying to chase it down. The half volley is cleared away, but SMU keeps the pressure on with Mitchell out on the wing. SMU's gotten a couple looks here. Now Owen Zarnik back more in his center back spot, looks to distribute. Sparks, the free-spirited creative player, back to Pope. No, looks it off to Bynum as SMU looks for a spark and some sort of way to get through this defense. Pope thought about going vertically, it gets knocked back.
You know, Marshall packing it into a pretty compact defensive structure there. And when that happens, the Mustangs really have to be patient and switch fields left to right to try to stretch out that defense laterally to create some lanes either to dribble through or to shoot through.
SMU trailing 1-0. Bynum steps on this one. And the Mustangs advance again. This one slotted in. Here's Sparks. Gets onto it and tries to create a corner. Is it? Yes. Corner kick for SMU.
Rui Taneda was trying to lobby for a goal kick, but he didn't lobby very hard. When he turns around and he saw Lorenzo Hernandez pointing toward the corner flag, he quickly retreated into his defensive stance.
SMU has scored corners in 5 of their last 6 games. And from this corner with the wind blowing out, an in-swinger for Bailey Sparks. Sparks, line drive. Again, it's off the woodwork. Escorcia couldn't get it to go, and Escorcia is called for the foul here, and SMU cannot believe it.
Yeah, I'd like to see another view of this. You've got Bailey Sparks with sort of the low line drive, and I don't know if that hit the
Punched
woodwork.
out.
Yeah, Janic punched it out.
It looks like Escorcia may have stepped on the defender.
I'm with Escorcia. I don't see a foul there at all. He followed through with his shot. He put his foot down, and it looked to me like the player ran over his foot, not that he reached out and tripped the player. I think that's a situation that just screams for a non-call, and you let the teams play on.
Oh, but a great connection here for Marshall. It goes across by Sterngard and out. And so often the Thundering Herd able to attack so quickly. And Sterngard getting an opportunity here. Looking back post for Panholzer, but skying it over the top.
And that's a situation you sometimes see unfold when people are still trying to sort out a call that was or wasn't made, and then the other team hits the Jets and goes the other way. It sometimes can be a prime opportunity for a counterattack, and Marshall was trying to do exactly that.
9 minutes into the second half, SMU has had a couple chances in the second half to get things level. Haven't been able to do so. It's a 24th minute goal by Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos. That's the Marshall goal so far, and this one gets taken away by Apolinario. However, Escorcia just creeps up on Sterngard and clearly strips it away. Djordjevic calmly pumps it across the field and out of pressure.
Calmly is the right word, because there was a real scramble going on there for players on both sides, and Djordjevic was the only one in the whole crowd who looked relaxed.
A little too strong by Zarnik, and Janic puts it right back across the midfield stripe. And Bailey Sparks is about to get booked here, and he can't believe that's the case. Theo Godard goes down, and Bailey Sparks given the yellow. It's the third yellow issued to SMU today.
Interesting to see Sparks and Rodriguez dos Santos discussing it.
Two of the best players in the American last year.
Two of the best players in the country now. Here you see the two closing in. And I kind of agree with Sparks. I mean, he was sticking his leg out with some separation, trying to deflect the ball as Theo Godard knocked it clear. And that's another one where it almost felt like Theo Godard initiated that contact, not Sparks. I think that's another should have been non-call, but oddly enough, Lorenzo Hernandez still hasn't asked my opinion on these things.
Marshall in front, 1-0. And looking for some separation, trying to see if they can play through this SMU line. Playing a little bit more right-sided this time. And stepping through the defense. Nice slotted pass for Rodriguez dos Santos. Sees a player cutting in. It's a goal! It's Marco Silva from Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos. And Marshall doubles their lead. It's 2-0.
And again, I think it's the setup that's as important as the shot itself, because Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos gets this ball just outside the top of the box, and he turns, and you see a couple of defenders collapsing toward him. There's Brock Pope, but he sees Silva coming on the backside and threads a beautiful pass between a couple of defenders, and Silva has doubled this lead for Marshall. Terrific goal.
What a gorgeous feed by Rodriguez dos Santos. His back almost fully turned to Marco Silva, but knowing right where he was. And Silva scores his 5th goal of the season, but his first since October. His last goal on the 4th of October against James Madison. Now more than 2 months later, Marco Silva, a redshirt sophomore out of Coopersburg, PA, puts Marshall in front 2-0. And Now the Thundering Herd really have SMU in a tough position.
And the Thundering Herd with two beautiful goals, but both times the goal scorer benefiting from brilliant setup by a teammate. We always give credit. We always talk about the guy who scores the goal, and rightly so. But the assists this time have been gorgeous, both of them.
That play was onside for Teneda. And Brock Pope has to scramble over to get it out of play. This back line now frustrated for the SMU Mustangs without their center back, Cesar Ruvalcaba. And you wonder if Ruvalcaba was around, how much different either of those goal-making plays might have been. But SMU has the firepower to answer back. And Djordjevic marching up the wing. And after all of SMU's pressure to open up the second half, Marshall coming up with the goal to double the lead. Nice pass into Lopez. Lopez scores! SMU is on the board on a beautiful feed from Bailey Sparks over the top to Milton Lopez. It settles, and SMU cuts it down to 2-1.
This serve by Bailey Sparks is remarkable. He takes a drop pass from Niko Djordjevic, who was staring at a couple of Marshall defenders. And I think it's the outside of his foot. Here you see, I mean, that's just a pitching wedge. By the way, with his off foot, yeah, that's a pitching wedge up and over the top of three defenders, drops it right in the lap of Milton Lopez, who scores the biggest goal of his career. And all of a sudden, this is a one-goal game again, and that's one of those goals that could be more significant than just 1 point on the scoreboard. Because, as you said a moment ago, SMU was in a tough spot, staring at a 2-0 deficit. That's a goal on the scoreboard, but that's also a lift, a boost, a jolt of energy that this Mustang team needed. Beautiful serve by Bailey Sparks to set up Lopez's goal.
We're getting opportunities back and forth between these two teams, and another chance for Marshall. It gets played out in front, but Pope swings it away, and Salvo clears it off the back line for a throw-in. There's Silva. Right now, he's got the go-ahead goal. Meanwhile, Lamar Bynum is on his seat for SMU and holding his head after contact off to the side of the goal.
And we have talked about how this could be a problem because Cesar Rubalcaba, the Mustangs' outstanding center back, is not available today. And all year long, Kevin Hudson has talked about how he has 4 starting quality defenders for 3 spots with Rubalcaba and Pope and Zarnik and Lamar Bynum. And so he's had a wonderful 4th defender to start today, and Bynum has played well. But if Bynum is in trouble here, if he has to come out for more than just the gratuitous step out, step back in substitution that comes with having the trainer come on the field, then you have to start shaking some things up. And there you see Enzo Pinozo, who started the game as a striker, but he came to SMU originally as a defender. And so he would then drop back and step in for Bynum. Hopefully, if you're the Mustangs, no disrespect to Pinozo, but you want your starting defender to stay in. You hope that Becky Regal has a magic trick up her sleeve there and can get number 12 ready to stay in the game. Because Bynum has played very, very well.
Anytime there's a contact with the head, of course, got to worry about, just safety for these players. And if there is protocol necessary, Brock Pope went through a head injury against Washington, was not available for last week's game at Dayton. Bynum a couple times seemed to try to shake things off, but obviously it was enough of a knock that he's wanted to stay down for a while here. Bynum, the second year in the SMU program, the transfer from CSU Pueblo. He spent 3 years. Conference Player of the Year and an All-American during his seasons at Pueblo. And Bynum giving the thumbs up. That should allow him to stay in this match.
And that sigh of relief you may have just heard was Kevin Hudson and the rest of the SMU coaching staff. Nice to see Rodriguez dos Santos come over and give Bynum a little pat on the back. They're going to collide more than once in the box in a game like this. But again, these teams play hard. These teams play physically. You want to beat the other team, but you don't want to beat them up. So we've seen that a few times tonight where there's been a collision and players from opposing teams go and check on each other. It's good to see. And it's honestly, it's a reflection of how Chris Grassi and Kevin Hudson coach their teams to play the right way.
So they are going to substitute here. And Enzo Pinozo coming in and Lamar Bynum coming out. And so Bynum cannot re-enter this match in the second half. And so Pinozo goes to a defender spot, and that leaves Lopez basically as the only available striker for SMU right now. And right back in the box, here comes Marshall with Rodriguez dos Santos going down. The ball finds Okiyoshi, throws it back out front, and Okiyoshi just misses off the feet from Taneda.
And several of the Marshall players are suggesting that that ball got deflected and this should be a corner, but the officials are not in agreement.
Okiyoshi just missed, and it looked as though Martin Dominguez was screened off. He never even moved from his central position in the goal. And had Okiyoshi been able to tuck it, Dominguez would not have even been able to react. Great turn by Escorcia. Slots it inside. Here's Pino. Chambron Pino. The cross. And on the drive, Mitchell unable to reach it. And it is battered away by Marshall. SMU keeps it in for a moment. And Pinozo goes down on the play. Eventually, Zarnik able to whip it over to Bailey Sparks as SMU looks for the tying goal. Sparks inside. Here's Lopez. Lopez strong with it. But it is taken away by Panholzer. He gives it away, or rather than Panholzer, that was Apolinario. And now a stoppage. There is a Marshall player down. SMU wanted to play on. But that is Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos, who was over there going back and forth with Enzo Pinozo and now holding the side of his face. Trying to make sure that the eye is okay and checking the orbital area. It's Kerry Francis.
How about the green fingernail polish from Kerry Francis?
Committed. That's what that is.
That is part of the team uniform at Marshall. You can see those fingers from outer space, I think.
Marshall with a good contingent of fans here. Trying to help their team to their second ever College Cup. Marshall owning the 2-1 advantage. The three other matchups in the Elite Eight have been shutout victories. This one will not be, as Marshall continues to strategize in this matchup. And Chris Grassi takes a look at a replay. Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos, a guy who normally goes the whole way. And looks like he's going to take some attention. But is he going to come out of the match? It looks as though Marshall is bringing on Pablo Simon. Simon is moved to come into the match. And so is Rodriguez dos Santos sitting down for the remainder of the half.
Now, Rodriguez dos Santos.
Or is there another substitution here?
He got checked on by the athletic trainer for a shot to the eye, comes off the field, and now they're working on his knee.
So maybe for
infection
control.
Or,
yeah,
sure.
So it looks as though Rodriguez dos Santos will be allowed to come back in after that is remedied, which is the only case in which you can re-enter. And so Bynum's in the same position for SMU, an opportunity to re-enter because of injury.
And Bynum is up near the midfield line right now, as if that may be a possibility here sooner rather than later.
Thankfully, not something either team has seen a lot of this season, as Bynum does make the one-for-one substitution with Penozo to come in.
That really underscores the value of a guy like Penozo, though, who, again, former football player who played some soccer, wanted to play at SMU, and he comes in and he's willing to play anywhere that the coaches ask him. I mean, you have to assume he would jump in goal if you asked him to.
No doubt. SMU takes it away. Djordjevic marching up the field for Pino, the drive, and it is knocked down, but he's right back on it. Chips it toward Milton Lopez. Sparks looking to join, punched into the air, down on the ground, and now cleared out. There is a man down who took a wicked shot from Kieran Shamron Pino.
That's Teo Godar, and I don't think there was any contact other than just a cannon shot from Kieran Shamron Pino, who has one of the strongest shots in the country. And I think he got every bit of that. And
or rather than Godar, it is Alexander Sterngard.
Sorry, you're correct. It's Stern, yeah. And he was halfway down. Look, he's just laying out to try to stop the shot in any way he can. And you talk about taking a sacrificing yourself for the betterment of your team. Sterngard certainly did that for the Thundering Herd.
SMU hunting the comeback. Djordjevic into the box. Punched away with a lot of contact. SMU obviously in the box, wanting to get that possible game-tying penalty kick opportunity. And we may have some talking to for the SMU bench, and a yellow issued to somebody on the bench for something that was said.
Well, and there's a good reason for what was said. Brock Pope was strangled. He had two defenders on him, and somebody, I couldn't tell which, had an arm around his neck throwing him to the ground. So, yeah, it's understandable your teammates are upset about it. And it was also not a bad thing that it falls on one of the teammates on the bench rather than on the coaches or one of the players on the field.
Okioshi takes down Escorcia as Escorcia got him turned around a moment. Okioshi made sure to stop that play.
You said earlier, John, that it's a physical game that's only going to get more physical, and you were right.
And again, nothing dirty.
No,
just physical.
On neither team. It's just these guys play hard, and they very, very much want a trip to Cary, North Carolina.
Djordjevic held up, and he checked up so much that he just stopped. And Taneda comes out with it. Taneda, dangerous ball. It's on. And Sparks checking back, gets it back to Dominguez, who sends it away.
How about your leading goal scorer and assist guy tracking back about 90 yards to help out on the back line and turn that ball away? Bailey Sparks does everything for this SMU team.
What a dangerous run by Marshall. And Taneda nearly was able to get it in position for Pablo Simon to make it a 3-1 lead. 27 minutes left in regulation. SMU looking for the tying goal. After being down 2-0, they struck back a minute later on the goal by Milton Lopez to make it 2-1, and they've been threatening since. Lopez wins the ball in the middle. Djordjevic wants it on the ground. He has it on the wing. Djordjevic looking to win it. Down to the end line, serves it across. It's not knocked out, but rather Pino heads it toward Jalen Mitchell, and that is knocked away for an SMU throw-in.
That is the third time in about the last 10 minutes that Pino has tried to send a serve into the middle at 100 miles an hour, and these Marshall defenders are throwing themselves out there. They look like hockey players diving in front of shots.
Just with everything they have today.
They are absolutely fearless on the back end for the Thundering Herd.
Part of the reason Marshall has been so good defensively this year, that willingness. And of course, now it's for the College Cup as Milton Lopez goes inside to Escorcia. Tries to get it deep to Pino, but just too strong. Chambron Pino didn't have the jets, and he knew it as he pulled up.
And Escorcia knew it too. The second he hit the ball, he could see he had too much on it.
The crowd has continued to fill in here in Dallas on what's turned into a rather beautiful day. Dominguez able to play with his hands this time. Dominguez still looking for his first official save. The two shots on for Marshall have both found the netting. Escorcia turning for SMU in the midfield. Finds Salvo. Trying to reverse the field out to Jalen Mitchell. Mitchell gets it late and has to make a contested move. Mitchell has some wheels. Mitchell stopping and starting, trying to turn the corner. Good defensive play along the end by Godard. And Godard just able to hold Mitchell off for a goal kick.
Terrific play by Godard. As you said, Mitchell's got some wheels. I'm not sure Godard didn't play this ball over the end line. But the opinion of those who matter, which are the guys wearing purple, means it's a goal kick for Marshall, but really nice positional defense by Godard.
So Rodriguez dos Santos comes back in, and again, that was for injury, so he is allowed to re-enter. Meanwhile, Silva, the goal scorer, is out. So is Sterngard as well. And Marshall making some substitutions. And Panholzer over the top, shoulder charge by Pope just outside the area. And they will allow it and play on here in Dallas. Ryan Holmes comes into the midfield for Marshall. Holmes, the 5'11 junior, one of the players to come in. SMU has been creative in the second half. Definitely on the front foot. It's resulted in one goal. Do they have one more? At least, and an equalizer in Dallas. SMU being very right-sided here as Georgievich goes down with no call. Rodriguez dos Santos comes out with it, and Salvo cuts him off for a throw-in.
You see the collision here. Georgievich got tangled up and hit the deck.
Meanwhile, keeper is down again. Alexei Janic just outside the area. And again, he's holding that right shoulder, the same one that was a concern in the first half.
And first and foremost, you hope he's okay. You know, we don't know the extent of the shoulder injury, but I think it's an interesting choice that he comes 25, 28 yards out off his line and then sits down, because if he doesn't get the whistle and SMU were to get the ball, it's not that hard a chip shot. It's just a matter of getting the ball on net.
some definite confidence in his team. And also, gosh, a situation where this, and there's definitely something going on with Janic's right side here. Exactly the type of movements he was being put through back in the first half by Francis.
And he's getting that, the same kind of testing. They're checking that rotational movement. And now you see her holding his hand out to the side. I'm guessing testing the strength, his ability to pull it back toward his chest. Which, obviously, if you're Marshall, you want Janic to be able to finish this out. But part of that involved being able to throw the ball. First and foremost, he has to keep it out of his own net. As I'm breaking down the obvious of the obvious here, but he does have to be able to throw the ball.
But I think there are some SMU fans who believe this is more of a tactic that is going on right now by Marshall's side in some way, rather than a legit injury concern. And I'm certainly not saying that, but that's certainly the feeling by some of these SMU fans right now.
That's the impression you get based on the reaction we can all hear from the crowd. We don't know the extent of what's going on with his shoulder or his ribs or whatever it is that's ailing him. If you're Marshall, certainly you want him to be okay for the next 22 plus minutes. But on the other hand, it has been a little unusual that he's gotten medical attention twice, and both times have not been after a collision. Both times have been when the ball is 30 yards away or more, and he has sat down and then gotten attention saying, hey, something's hurting over here. So, yeah, it's an unusual look. I'm not suggesting there's anything mischievous going on there, but it's understandable why the fans have interpreted things that way.
SMU will have a throw in after all that, as it goes off of Ryan Holmes' back and out. Mustangs hunting that game-tying goal. Marshall looking for their second College Cup appearance. This one knocked away down to Rodriguez dos Santos. He attracts three players, and Georgievich comes out with it, at least for now. Ricocheting it off to Salvo, who looks for deep clearance down to Lopez. Lopez felt he was held up with no call, but Salvo steals it away from Rodriguez dos Santos and springs Bynum with some offensive ideas. There's Escorcia out to the corner. Chambron Pino serves it across. A hard cross is headed out and then chested down by Bailey Sparks. Stepping back to the middle. Sparks chipping it toward Lopez once more. They connected for the first SMU goal. And it's back the other way to Dominguez. Tense moments already. It's only going to get more tense with so much on the line. And contact there with the face area of Escorcia, but evidently it was just the ball. He may have thought it was something more.
Yeah,
the ball goes out off of Escorcia.
I think Tiago Apolinario flipped the ball up and just happened to catch Escorcia right in the mug. Here you see them wrestling for space. Ball goes up in the air there. And yeah, Apolinario simply trying to clear the ball away from trouble. And Escorcia happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he ate one.
Escorcia able to get back up.
Which I might add doesn't make it feel any better when it's unintentional.
As Escorcia goes down again, this time with a card coming, and that will be for Taimu Okiyoshi. And a restart coming for SMU in a very dangerous position.
And just like we saw Milton Lopez earlier step in to try to keep Escorcia away from the officials, Harui Taneda does the exact same thing for his Marshall teammates. You had a couple of them yapping at the officials a little bit, and Taneda comes running over and grabs his teammates and shoos them away to keep them from getting themselves in more trouble with their mouths. Smart veteran play by Taneda. That's the kind of play that never shows up in a box score, but coaches really appreciate when their key players stay in the game.
Again, it's Chambron Pino or it is Sparks. Long chat at the edge of the wall. Lorenzo Hernandez says we're ready. Chambron Pino strikes it off the wall, pops it back into the air, and retreating Janic able to snag it in the 6 rather easily.
I know the fans are upset right now, but I think that's Fujita, who is the 4th or 5th player now to absorb just that unbelievably powerful shot by Kieran Chambron Pino. And you can be upset if you want. If you're an SMU fan and you want to be upset at the fact that there have been these stoppages for injuries, but let me tell you, if you take a shot a lot less hard than what Chambron Pino can deliver, it can hurt. And he's got that rocket launcher hanging from his left hip. I promise you these guys are feeling these shots. All the credit in the world to them for jumping in front of them.
Yeah. Great look by our camera crew here on ESPN Plus. And the deep ball overshot, intended for Tarek Panholzer, but he is a good target. Just over 20 minutes left in regulation in Dallas. Here in the Elite 8, the final of the 4 quarterfinals. The winner goes on to the College Cup. The loser sees their season come to an end. These 2 teams used to be in the same conference with one another, Conference USA. SMU leads the all-time series 6-2-1, but teams have not played in a long time. Good job by Dominguez to get out of his own end. And the last time the 2 teams matched up, more than a decade ago, back in 2012, they used to play every year against each other, sometimes twice in a year in Conference USA. Headed down to Jalen Mitchell, trying to keep it in, and a throw-in coming as Alex Bamford knocks it out. Meanwhile, Marshall will get some runners into the match. Joao Roberto comes on for Marshall, and also Hai Pinto. Both very capable players, 2-way players for this Marshall team. Here's Djordjevic. Over near the wing. Djordjevic cuts it back to Bynum. Pops it over the top. In the box. The header toward the goal is over the top by Pope. Pope got a pretty good swing on it. And Janic watches it go over the bar.
Nice one-time serve by Bynum, and good job by Pope climbing the ladder to go up. He's a tall guy, and he can jump. So he went up and got a head on it, just a little bit under it, sending it over the bar. We talked earlier about Coach Grassi and his staff and how they go a little deeper into their bench than a lot of teams do. And the guys who just came in, Pinto and Roberto, are exactly the kind of players we were talking about. These guys start at a lot of schools. And to have energy and speed and technical skill like these 2 have coming off the bench is a real luxury. And let's be honest, it's a significant reason why the Thundering Herd is still standing and still competing.
Another midair collision. 2 players down. You got Ryan Holmes and you got Kieran Pino. Holmes undercutting Pino, who was already in the air. And Pino falling on that left side. Holmes, it seems, has evaded major injury as he walks away. And Pino feels like he's been in a car crash, but able to get to his feet.
Yeah, he gets up holding that right hip. I mean, I guess if you're the Mustangs, you're glad he's not holding his left hip because that's his stronger leg. But he's got to be able to run, and he looks like he's going to be able to shake that off. But coming down from that high and landing on another player, something's going to end up sore for sure.
And in the end, Pino called for the foul. And a chance for Marshall to restart it.
We got about 15 guys in the arc at the top of the box. You're going to have a jailbreak here in a minute.
Here's the turn by Godar. Tries to pop it over the top. Looking in the direction of the 6'2" Fujita, but too strong. Under 18 minutes left to play. In regulation, at least. Visiting Marshall, up 2-1 on SMU. The first half goal by Lineker Rodriguez dos Santos in the 24th minute. Stayed that way for 30 minutes of game time until the next goal in the 56th minute by Marco Silva from Rodriguez dos Santos. And then 2 minutes later, SMU finally on the board, thanks to a Bailey Sparks feed to Milton Lopez. And Lopez able to finish it from point-blank range after the brilliant over-the-top look by Sparks. Throw in for the Thundering Herd.
A little too much on that pass by Pope, and it was only because Bynum was coming back. If Bynum had been stationary or obviously heading forward, then he's on his horse heading upfield, but his momentum played against him.
Dominguez looking deep upfield for Lopez, who tends to be pretty good in the air and good in 50-50 positions. This one goes right back the other way, and Joao Roberto is called for the foul for moving his way into Owen Zarnik in an unnatural way.
Zarnik's a big, strong guy, and if you can move him out of the way, you're going to draw the attention of an official every now and then.
SMU using these three out of the back to move the ball up. Zarnik with the big leg. Back to Pope, starting at center back for the 7th time this season for the injured Rubalcaba. Under 16 minutes left. John Little, Steve Lansdale, and our whole ESPN Plus crew. Thousands on hand as well to catch this match. And this is offside. Lopez doesn't believe it. It certainly looked like an even type position. Apolinario went down.
Yes, it looked even because they were wrestling for space. He went down because of contact. When that ball was played, they were absolutely even.
Perhaps a foul, a more appropriate call there.
Sure, you want to call a foul there, fine. I can't see that as an offside play, though.
Certainly would have given SMU an advantage with Lopez in looking for the brace and a possible game-tying goal with under 15 minutes left now. That was the 4th offside issued against SMU in this match. Djordjevic trying to rocket one up the field in the direction of Lopez. Now Sparks punches it forward. Lopez wins it in the middle, but Apolinario is able to steal it away. Apolinario, a deep one, looking for Roberto, but headed away by Dominguez, who was outside the box. Right back for Roberto. Good job by Brock Pope to take it away.
It was. If Roberto had been able to spin, he would have had an open net in front of him because Dominguez was slow getting back.
Djordjevic has it taken away, and there's the goal that Marshall needed for the 2-goal advantage as Pablo Simon pounces on it and sluts his 4th goal of the season. The 25-year-old senior puts Marshall in front 3-1.
You see the double team taking the ball away, and good job by Simone. He sees one of his teammates get hit and goes up in the air and then hits the deck, and it would have been all too easy to stop and look at the official and say, where's the whistle? But he didn't. He kept playing and was able to turn and tuck that ball into the lower right corner. Beautiful shot by Simone to double the Thundering Herd's lead.
The 76th minute goal, and Marshall can taste it now. The Herd going in front by 2 goals, and SMU, which had been hunting that game-time goal for a while. And the Thundering Herd, with SMU playing on the front foot, get the turnover and quickly turn it into goal number 3. Simone's 4th of the season.
When Marshall got its first goal, we talked about how SMU really had a majority of the ball prior to that, but you get the one chance, you convert into a goal, and how that can change things. The second half has felt the same way. SMU has really had the better run of play for much, not all, but much of the second half. And after the Milton Lopez goal narrowed it to a single goal, it sort of felt like, you know, this is a close game. This is getting SMU with a legitimate chance to try to get the equalizer. But again, Marshall didn't need a lot of chances. Simone stretching that lead back to 2, and the Thundering Herd's in a great spot right now.
Just taking advantage of those opportunities. Those expected goals that Chris Grassi is so intent on finding. And the Thundering Herd have been in dangerous positions and able to finish each time. Chance here for SMU on the free kick. They've got to have one of these moments. Pino pops it over the top, curling in and off the head of Zarnik, but it was offside. The flag was up. And another offside call against SMU with 12.5 to play.
And that is obviously the risk you run, because down 2 goals with 12.5 to go, it is all hands on deck at this point. Everybody's going to keep coming up to try to find any kind of chance for. You can't even get the equalizer yet till you get the one before the equalizer. So SMU is going to be pushing 10 guys forward, and that means there will be offside opportunities.
12 minutes left. SMU has to find the first one in order to have a shot to put the pressure on. But Marshall in a beautiful position on the road and so close to that College Cup appearance. As Escorcia is tripped up, card on the way. A yellow is shown in the direction of Ryan Holmes. Another free kick for SMU.
Kieran Shumram-Pino with a little gamesmanship has moved the ball, and he got caught. He was moving the ball forward, trying to get an extra few yards of real estate, which is fine, partly because the clock has stopped. But it's only fine if the guys in lavender don't see it.
Shumram-Pino curls it in, a couple flicks on, and it's over the top. Good job by Escorcia to flick that one toward the goal. It was very dangerous, and a corner kick on the way for SMU.
And I think Escorcia flicked that with his back. I think he ducked so low that it hit him right between the shoulder blades. Maybe not. Maybe I missaw it, but it looked like it at first glance.
Sparks, the end swinger, headed out solidly. Georgievich backs it up. And outside, Jalen Mitchell has played the whole way. He swings it inside. It was partially tipped, but right into the hands of Alexei Janic.
And Janic, of course, is going to be in no hurry to hop up too quickly at this point. 11 minutes is far too long to play stall ball, but it is, but it isn't. Every second counts. And he just soaked about 30 seconds off the clock.
Pino with a big takedown of a Marshall player. And going down extremely hard on the play was Hai Pinto. You could see that from our high cam that Pinto hit the ground extremely hard. Let's take a look at this.
Chambra and Pino is a strong player, and it wasn't head-to-head, I don't think. They both went up for the ball, and their chests or their shoulders collided. But you're right, Chambra and Pino got the better of it, and Pinto hit the deck pretty hard. Hopefully for Marshall, he's going to be okay.
Hai Pinto, who has been a starter for most of the season, picked up a red card in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, missed 2 matches. He was available to come back last time out against NC State, but did not end up playing. Meanwhile, during the delay, SMU making a sub, bringing some more offense into the match as Stefan Sagamonian comes in. Maybe a situation where your breath gets knocked out of you or something like that for Hai Pinto.
Sure.
With the way he hit the ball or hit the ground so hard.
Yeah, and when that happens, it's not so much like a localized pain, like you've been kicked in the knee or, you take an elbow to the shoulder or whatever. It's just the inability to breathe, obviously, but there's sort of there's a feeling like you can't make it better right away. And so it may be one of those where it's frustrating more so than more than specifically painful.
Trying to help him up after doing some checks on Pinto, who Chris Grassi will tell you is most likely player on the team to eventually be a head coach. He has that kind of mentality. It sees the game so well. Only a sophomore, but a captain. Like many of these Marshall players, an older player at 23, a European player who had a couple years overseas after what would normally be high school years here in the States.
But to be a captain as a sophomore, I don't care if you're 23 or 103, you're only 1 year into the system and you're named a captain. That speaks very, very highly of what Coach Grassi and his staff and the teammates think of Pinto.
We've heard that a yellow card was issued to Lamar Bynum here, but he was not in on the collision at all. It was Chambra Pino who was in on the collision. So perhaps something unsporting was said by Lamar Bynum after the play. Here's the ball. We'll be back in SMU's possession with 10.5 to play and down by 2 goals. So this excellent Marshall Thundering Herd team really was in a prime position for probably a top 8 seed, maybe even higher than that, maybe even top 5 as Pinto does come back in, for dropping a couple late decisions and not being able to come out with wins on the road against bottom of the barrel Sun Belt teams. And in doing so, that was probably what kept them from being a top 5 seed and maybe hosting in this round rather than having to go on the road. But this Thundering Herd squad that's a little bit older, has some great experience to it. They have done a wonderful job of playing their game today and taking advantage of opportunities for this 3-1 lead with 10 minutes to go. Latest goal by Pablo Simon to put the Thundering Herd up 3-1. And it really seemed to suck the wind out of this SMU crowd that was believing their team was going to come up with an equalizer. There is still time as Djordjevic plays it toward the middle for Sagamonian, who just came in for the first time in the second half. Djordjevic, the redshirt junior captain, to Zarnik, and now Salvo. These are all players who will be returning for SMU, but a lot of senior leadership on this team for the Mustangs knows it may be their final time on the field together. Salvo in the direction of Escorcia. Escorcia finds it over that right shoulder and turns back inside. Escorcia dragging it, drifting it, and Lopez trying to knock it back inside the corner, coming up for SMU as it was challenged by Bamford and knocked over the line. This is going to be challenging for the keeper to look back into the sun here as well. That's something to think about on this serve by Kieran Pino.
Sure, the sun is setting right behind the bleachers where we're sitting, so Janic is staring right into it.
Oh, it gets all the way down on the ground, but SMU could not reach it.
And when the ball starts bouncing in the box like that, while the goalkeeper and defenders are panicking, the offensive players are lamenting why it didn't bounce right to them. It's so frustrating. It looks like it's just a couple feet in front of you, but it's moving so fast, it's exceedingly difficult to track down.
Another quarter for SMU. This is their specialty this year. Bailey Sparks this time. Deep ball, a header is in! It's Lopez! He says, let's do it again! A one-goal game, and the first brace of the career of Milton Lopez. It's 3-2.
We were just saying a moment ago that it would be the Kieran Chambron-Pino corner that would be so difficult for Janic. And this one by Sparks sails up and over Janic and the Marshall defense. And there's Lopez, who's had the game of his life today and has got the Mustangs back in it again with 7.5 minutes left. And you talked a moment ago about how the crowd had sort of had the life sucked out of it. Well, you can hear they're back.
It is not over. With 7.5 minutes left, Milton Lopez scores his 6th of the season, his 2nd of the game. Again, it's an assist by Bailey Sparks. Sparks with his 10th helper of the year. And after all that weaving through traffic, João Roberto earns a foul on SMU with 7:05 left. Some precious time is cutting off the clock now in Dallas, as Marshall will try to use every second of this delay they can in between the foul and the free kick. And now the clock is stopped with 6:45.
Yeah, the clock is stopped, but minus 20 seconds of when the Thundering Herd started slowly setting this up.
Here's Simone already ready to take it to the corner, but it is an offside call, a very delayed one, but looked like it was the right call.
And going to the corner with 6.5 minutes, that's a long time to dance with a corner flag.
Bailey Sparks trying to play it up the field. It falls to Chambron-Pino. SMU needing a goal to tie it and possibly extend their season into extra time. Lopez to the edge of the box. Lopez still on it, and he earns another corner kick. SMU has a chance to do it again.
Lopez gets on the end of this only after the first attempted pass to him got snuffed out. But Bailey Sparks realized this is the guy who scored a couple of goals. I'm going back to number 19.
Sparks ready to go again. Under 6 minutes left, and SMU down by a goal. They just scored off the corner.
And the clock is stopped. Lorenzo Hernandez talking to players from both teams. As you know, there's a wrestling match going on by that near post.
Sparks plays it in. Same position. Bynum on the ground, in the box, rolling around, still alive, and another corner for SMU. This time it'll be
Again, it
Pena.
was Lopez who was there. He could sniff a shot at a third goal.
The drama coming to a head in Dallas. SMU has been down by 2 goals twice. They're trying to erase the deficit. Jimron Pino, line drive, headed toward the goal, cleared off the line. My goodness.
Bailey Sparks diving through traffic to get his head on that.
Second yellow on Escorcia, and his day is done.
He knew it, but he had no choice. If he didn't, that was going to be a one-on-one against Martin Dominguez. As Joao Roberto was on his horse and heading toward the north end of the field. You feel for Escorcia. You hate that his day ends that way, but he had one choice and one choice only.
And SMU is down to 10. Sparks with a great opportunity inside the box, just cleared off the line, could have tied it up at 3 apiece.
Playing catch-up is difficult enough. Playing catch-up against a team like Marshall that plays smart, tough, physical defense is even tougher. And to do it when you're a man down and all of your best players have been running for 85 minutes and their legs are screaming in fatigue, it's a very, very tall task.
10 on 11. SMU goes over the top. Sagamonian can't make the play on this one. And it's turned up by Gadar. Just punting it up the field. SMU looking for a ball to throw in. Four minutes left in Dallas. Still a breath of life for SMU, even though they're in the situation they are, down to 10 men. As Salvo takes it away and advances forward. Has Pino out wide. Shamron Pino dancing into the box. Pino headed off. And a great defensive play to make it a throw in. That's Hai Pinto with the defensive play. And Sparks out front to Djordjevic. Djordjevic punting it toward goal. And nobody was there for SMU.
Djordjevic sort of assuming that point guard role at the top of the key that he does on corners when they press everyone forward. He's the guy that sits out at the top because he's an extraordinary passer. That time he tried to get it through. I think he was looking for either Lopez or Sagamonian, but got a little too much on it, and Janic was able to grab it. Janic was able to grab it and then flop down on it.
Djordjevic all the way across for Bynum. Seeing some space, even down by a man. Mustangs have to have a goal in the next 2:45. Marshall trying to hold them off and make the College Cup. A date with #1 Ohio State is waiting. Vermont and Denver are also there. The chip towards Sagamonian, and that is headed over the end line for a corner for SMU.
For all the time that these guys have spent racing up and down the field, how much extra mileage does Kieran Chambron-Pino have coming from his left wingback spot over to the right corner because he's such a good left-footed server?
His last one nearly ended up in an SMU goal for Bailey Sparks. He gets another chance here. Line drive. Knocked into the air. And then out of harm's way, out onto the track. SMU with a throw in. 1:52 to play as Dominguez joins the party. Djordjevic rolling it in. Djordjevic out front to Sparks. Sparks serves it in with the left foot. Knocked away at the top of the 18, and then Djordjevic is able to come back onto it, serve it back across, headed out, and Lytica Rodriguez dos Santos trying to go after it and knocks it out of play. 1:15 left. Djordjevic again serves it in. Header! Zarnik on goal and right at Aleksejanic.
Beautiful serve by Djordjevic, and certainly to the right target. Owen Zarnik, the biggest player on the field and a strong player in the air. Pinpoint accurate serve. Zarnik got a head on it, but unfortunately for the Mustangs, headed it right at Janic.
45 seconds left. SMU able to take it away from Marshall. Salvo up the field. Joao Roberto keeps it in. Salvo around him to pop it back toward Lopez. 29 seconds left. Pope goes down. It's a play on for SMU. Ref knows 20 seconds left. Got to let SMU keep playing here. And instead, this time, it will go Marshall's way. And Marshall, with 4 seconds left, has made their way back to the College Cup. Marshall tops SMU 3-2. And the Thundering Herd will be the only former champion in the Final Four of college soccer. It will be Marshall and Ohio State in the semis, Denver and Vermont in the other, and one of those four will be hoisting the trophy coming up at the conclusion of Monday's action. What a game.
Tremendous performance by the Thundering Herd. They withstood a little bit of a flurry by SMU at the beginning, and when they got their first goal, that obviously changed the complexion of the game. And this, we talked repeatedly about how this is a veteran, experienced, mature Marshall team. They're strong. They've been through these battles before, and they played like it. They did what they had to do. They limited chances in the offensive end for the Mustangs. And Lytica Rodriguez dos Santos, unbelievable performance. He got a goal, he got an assist, and he was everywhere. He was causing trouble all night for the Mustangs. Congratulations to Marshall. Thundering Herd heading to Cary, North Carolina for College Cup.
Rodriguez dos Santos officially with 2 assists. He was also given an assist on that takeaway that ended up in the game-winning goal by Pablo Simon. Simon's 6th game-winning goal of his career, his 2nd of the season. And Marshall able to hold off a furious SMU charge to win this one 3-2.
And withstanding the SMU charge is really the great way to do it, to describe it, because SMU came at them in waves several different times during the game. And Marshall held its ground, kept its composure, and was able to counter the offensive threat by the Mustangs.
At one semifinal, Ohio State taking on Marshall next Friday. In the other, it's Denver and Vermont in Cary, North Carolina. Marshall had to go on the road to do it, and they have punched their ticket. They are Cary bound.
Coach Grassi talked before the game about the respect that Marshall has for the SMU program and how well coached they are by Kevin Hudson and his staff. And he's right. And he knows, they know, the Thundering Herd knows that beating an SMU team at this stage is a very difficult, very significant accomplishment. And doing it on the road. Not many people come into Dallas and win at Washburn. This is a tremendous performance by the Thundering Herd.
We
Johnson.
So for Steve Lansdale and our entire ESPN crew, this is John Little saying so long from Dallas. Coming up, the semifinals on Friday. Good luck to Marshall and all the teams going to Cary. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation